What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another FPL video on the channel. And in today's one, we're going to be looking at my team selection for game week 11. But of course, before we do get into that, let's have a quick review of how we performed in game week 10. Alright guys, so as you can see, game week 10 was actually pretty decent for us, as we managed to get 57 points, which meant I did get a green arrow from around 1.4 million up to 889k, which is very nice. It is now two back-to-back green arrows in a row, and things are looking good at the moment. But a quick review of how the team performed. As you can see, my defense was absolutely shocking, right? Absolutely shocking. All blanks across the board for my defenders. Konate, Aït-Nouri, Lewis and Raya all conceded, all did terribly bad, right? Arsenal conceded away to Newcastle, and Arsenal defense has been shocking for so long. Lewis again conceding. Man City just all over the place defensively. I mean, Bournemouth were unlucky not to score 3 or 4 goals in that game, right? They missed so many opportunities. Ederson had to make so many saves, and Man City defensively just looked so poor in that game against Bournemouth away. Aït-Nouri again, he conceded. Konate conceded. It was just so bad. I'm not gonna lie, right? The defense was terrible. But to be honest, guys, my midfielders actually weren't that great either. I mean, Salah was the only player in my team to get a return in game week 10. The rest of them absolutely stank, right? Foden, Mbeumo and Smith Rowe flopped massively as they all blanked. But yeah, I have to say, I'm just really happy I did captain Mo Salah. He is just doing what he does best right now, scoring goals for Liverpool. Yeah, it was a fantastic goal though, cutting in from that right hand side, curling it into the top corner with that left foot. Absolutely ridiculous. And look, Mohamed Salah is just proving why he is the FPL GOAT. He just gets returns consistently, man. He just finds a way to get on the score sheet. He finds a way to get an assist. He just is that guy for FPL. So yeah, man, I love Mo Salah for FPL, man. He's just so reliable, and I'm really glad I captained him, and I'm really glad I've got him in my team. But yeah, the rest of them, Foden, Mbeumo, Smith Rowe, terrible. I think Foden was pretty unlucky not to get on the score sheet and not to get an assist to Erling Haaland. He did have a couple chances in that game, and I think on another day he does put the ball in the back of the net. Mbeumo, I'm not gonna lie, he ghosted against Fulham. I watched that game live. I think Fulham were really impressive. They created a lot of chances, right? They were unlucky not to score 5 or 6 goals, in my opinion. They really just pinned Brentford back, and it was a really good performance from Fulham, in my opinion. And I think, look, Mbeumo and Brentford were pretty damn poor. I'm not gonna lie. Like I said, Mbeumo wasn't really involved in that game at all. But I will say this: the attack is where it gets juicy, right? My new signing, Strand Larsen. It took this man one game to outscore the absolute fraud Dominic Calvert-Lewin. It took him one game. But yeah, I'm not gonna lie, man, it did feel really good to finally get my cheap striker scoring goals, right? It feels good to get some points from my cheap striker. Strand Larsen, it was a good finish. He was cool, calm and collected as he slotted it home. Yeah, Kuna getting the assist, and I think, you know, Wolves did create some chances against Crystal Palace. So yeah, I'm just, you know, really happy that I went for Strand Larsen. I do think he provides good value, man. I'm not gonna lie. And then look, Erling Haaland, right? He flopped again. 1 goal in 5 games. At the time I'm recording this, he actually missed a penalty. Well, at the time I'm recording this, Man City lost to Sporting, right? I've seen that result, and Haaland missed a penalty. Things aren't looking good for Erling Haaland right now, man. I'm not gonna lie, but look, he was poor against Bournemouth. He had chances to score and he didn't score. So yeah, look, I don't know what to say about this guy, but look, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, not Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Dominic Solanke is the man that I want to talk about quickly. 2 goals, 1 assist, 16-point haul. That was absolutely fantastic. I'm really happy I went for Dominic. I kept hold of Dominic Solanke, and I'm really happy that I kept faith in Dominic Solanke, because it did feel good to finally just get some goals from him, man. I mean, that first finish, that first goal, that little dink over the keeper was absolutely fantastic and just pure class from Dominic Solanke. So really happy he got on the score sheet, man. And yeah, overall the team was pretty solid. I think only 3 players returned for me. I mean, Salah, Solanke and Strand Larsen just carried the team on their back. So yeah, but that is a quick summary of how the team done, or how the team performed in game week 10. So let's go ahead and move on to my game week 11 team selection. Alright guys, so it's time to have a look at my game week 11 team selection. But before we do get into that, I just want to say we are rolling the transfer this week. Of course, I did make a transfer plans video, and I did say if Konate was actually injured, then I probably would have used a transfer to take him out this week. But as he did play last night in the Champions League, he started the game, played like 90 minutes, got subbed off at the very end. It obviously is clear that Konate is fit to play, and therefore I will be rolling the transfer this week, so we got 2 free transfers for game week 12. So with that being said, let's go ahead and move on to my team selection. We'll start off with the defense and obviously the goalkeeper. So we got Raya in goal, and then a back three of Konate, Aït-Nouri and Rico Lewis. Now, David Raya, he's playing against Chelsea away, and I do have the chance and opportunity. I've got the option of starting Fabianski, who is playing against Everton at home. Obviously, Fabianski has started the last 2 games for West Ham. I believe Areola has got dropped. So, yeah, for that reason, I could start Fabianski, right, who is playing against Everton at home, which is a good fixture. Now, I don't know. I could change it, right? I might change my mind last minute, but at the moment, I've got Raya against Chelsea. But given the fact that Arsenal defensively have just been so poor for so long, I do kind of want to possibly, there is the option there, right, to start Fabianski. But then at the same time, West Ham have been trash under Lopetegui this season, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if West Ham also concede. So it is definitely, I don't know, something to think about. But I'm just letting you guys know that it could change. I might start Fabianski, I might not. At the moment, I don't really know, but I'm 50-50. But at the moment, we've got Raya against Chelsea. I think that's going to be a very tough game for Arsenal. A really tough game. I like Chelsea a lot. I think they're a good team so far. Yeah, I think they're playing some good football, and going forward, they can definitely hurt teams. And given the fact that Arsenal have been very poor so far defensively, I'm not really expecting a clean sheet. I'm not going to lie, man. I'm not expecting a clean sheet. I just think that Chelsea, yeah, you know, Arsenal have been so poor defensively, and Chelsea going forward are really good. So, yeah, we'll see what happens, but I'm not really expecting much from David Raya in that game. I'm not going to lie, man. But yeah, for the back three, we've got Konate against Aston Villa at home, Aït-Nouri against Southampton at home, and Rico Lewis against Brighton away from home. Now, I'm going to start with Rico Lewis, man. I'm going to start with Rico Lewis because, look, as I said, Man City got absolutely destroyed in the last game, right, against Sporting in the Champions League, 4-1. And again, Man City are showing that defensively, they are just so poor. And at the moment, I'm so done with the Man City defense. I could start Mykolenko, who I've got on the bench, but again, Everton defense doesn't convince me either, right? So I'm just going to start Rico Lewis because he's got the attacking threat. But Man City defense is terrible. I'm not expecting a clean sheet at all because Brighton going forward are really good. As much as I don't rate Brighton defensively, I think going forward they can hurt teams, and they are a good attacking team, right? They've got good players that can score against Man City. Danny Welbeck is in form. They've got the likes of Matoma, Kadioglu if he plays on the right hand side. They've got the attacking threat there. They've got Rutter as well playing in that number 10 role. So I don't really expect a clean sheet from Man City because they've been so poor defensively this season. So I'm realistically just hoping for some attacking returns from Rico Lewis. Really, that's about it. And then we've got Aït-Nouri against Southampton at home, and I'm excited for this game. I'm not gonna lie, I'm really excited for this game because I'll tell you guys this: as much as I think Wolves are crap defensively, I'm not gonna lie. In that 2-2 draw against Crystal Palace were unlucky to not score 5 or 6 goals, right? Wolves are shocking defensively. However, I will say this: Aït-Nouri going forward, man, he is just absolutely incredible. And what I mean by that is the spaces, the positions he picks up are so damn good. The amount of times he finds himself in the penalty box is absolutely ridiculous. So I'm excited for this game because I do think the attacking potential is really there for Aït-Nouri, and I wouldn't be surprised if this man manages to get some goals and assists in that game. And then we've got Konate, who, thank God, he's actually fit to play, so that's really nice. A decent home. I think Liverpool defense is fantastic, right? They got a clean sheet last night in the Champions League as they beat Leverkusen 4-0, and I just rate the Liverpool defense. At some point, I need to work towards getting double Liverpool defense. I want Van Dijk and Konate to be just a set and forget defensive pick for me, because I think Liverpool at this moment in time are one of the best defensive teams in Europe and one of the best teams in Europe, period, right? Liverpool are so good. I keep saying this, right? Under Onslaught, they just look absolutely fantastic, and their underlying metrics, their underlying data also backs it up as well, right? They are one of the best defensive teams, if not the best defensive team in the Premier League this season and in Europe, right? So I like Liverpool a lot. I like their attack. I like the defense, right? And Konate, although it's Aston Villa, they're also playing in the Champions League. At the time of recording, right, Aston Villa haven't played in the Champions League yet. I'm recording this on a Wednesday, right? So Aston Villa haven't played yet, but they're also going to be sort of, I guess you could say, fatigued and tired from playing in the Champions League. So it's a good home fixture for me, in my opinion. I do expect Liverpool to get the win. I guess the question is, can they get a clean sheet? And I'm pretty confident. I'm actually pretty confident of a clean sheet because, like I said, I rate the Liverpool defense. I really do. So let's see what happens. But it's going to be a good matchup. It's going to be an interesting matchup. So yeah, let's just see what happens, but I really do like Konate for this fixture and moving forward. In midfield, we do have Mohamed Salah, Phil Foden, Brian Mbeumo and Emil Smith-Rowe. Now, I don't think I'm going to put the captaincy on Salah this week. I don't think I'm going to do it, right? To be honest with you, I don't know who I'm going to captain right now. I really don't. But at the moment, it's not on Mohamed Salah. But I do expect some returns from Mo Salah. I think Aston Villa at home, like I said, is a good fixture for the Liverpool attack. Because I just think, again, Liverpool are so good and they can get plenty of goals in that game, in my opinion. We saw, what Spurs did, to Aston Villa, beating them 4-1 at home. I think Liverpool could do the exact same, right? Luis Diaz just is playing off the back of a hat-trick in the Champions League. Gakpo scored in the last game in the Champions League. He's been in form so far this season, and Salah is just Mo Salah. So if those three play together again, yeah, there's going to be goals in that game for Liverpool, in my opinion. So yeah, I am expecting some returns for Mohamed Salah. Phil Foden, he actually did score in the last Champions League game in the defeat against Sporting. Yeah, it was a good goal. He managed to score, and I actually do think he'll start. I actually don't have any doubts about Phil Foden starting. Even though De Bruyne did come off the bench in the Champions League game, I still am pretty confident in Phil Foden actually starting. So with that being said, as long as Phil Foden starts, I do think he's a pretty decent option. I'm not going to lie though, I am a bit like, I don't know with Man City, man. They're not performing well, defensively or offensively, right? Going forward, defending, they're just not playing well, period. As a team, they're not playing well in all phases of play of the pitch. They're just not performing to a high standard. So I do have my doubts there about Phil Foden actually providing the goals and assists, but I do think he starts, which is a positive. But like I said, I think Brighton defense is weak, so that is a bonus. But at the same time, Man City are just out of form and they don't look like the same Man City that we know. So yeah, I do have my doubts there, but hopefully Phil Foden can return. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens there. But we also do have Brian Mbeumo and Smith-Rowe. So Brian Mbeumo has been really good at home this season, right? So Bournemouth at home, in my opinion, is a really good fixture. So I am expecting Brian Mbeumo to perform. I'm expecting him to get some goals and assists. So hopefully he can deliver. He's been a very reliable FPL asset for me so far this season. So I think that's a good fixture on paper. And like I said, Brentford at home have been really good. So yeah, hopefully Brian Mbeumo can do the business in that game. And then we do have Emil Smith-Rowe, who is playing against Crystal Palace away from home. And I don't think it's going to be the easiest game, because I think, going away to Selhurst Park is never really easy. But Crystal Palace are missing quite a few players, right? They're missing Eze, they're missing Wharton, they're missing Lerma, they're missing Hughes, who was suspended for this game. So they do have injuries and suspensions, and they do have a lot of key players missing. And I think Fulham, with the way they've played this season, I think they've been really good. So there is potential there for Smith-Rowe to deliver and get some maybe goals and assists in that game. So hopefully he can do that. But yeah, that would be absolutely fantastic. But on paper, it's not the worst fixture, but it's not the best fixture. Let's just say that. I think if they were at home, it would be a different story. But yeah, because they are away from home, it definitely will be a bit trickier. But let's move on to the front three, because this is where things get really nice. As you can see, we've got Strand Larsen against Southampton at home, Erling Haaland against Brighton away, and Dominic Solanke against Ipswich at home. Three very good fixtures on paper. Let's start off with Strand Larsen. It's as simple as this, bro. I expect you to score goals in that game, right? Southampton have been one of the worst defenses so far in the Premier League, so you have to deliver in a game like this. It's as simple as that, man. You really do have to deliver in a game like this. And look, Dominic Solanke as well against Ipswich at home. Again, it's a fantastic fixture. And look, as you guys can see, right, in terms of expected goals conceded, Ipswich and Southampton are two of the worst Premier League teams so far this season, right? So I've got two of my strikers playing against the two worst defensive teams so far this season in Ipswich and Southampton. So with that being said, I'm expecting some good points from these two players, Strand Larsen and Dominic Solanke. And especially with Dominic Solanke, because he's playing for a Tottenham team that have scored the most goals in the Premier League and do have the highest expected goals, right? So with that being said, surely I've got to get some good points, man. Surely I've got to get some good points from Strand Larsen and Dominic Solanke. Now, Erling Haaland, right, against Brighton away, he's been absolutely shocking. Words cannot describe how poor and how bad this man has been so far. One Premier League goal in five games, right? Absolutely terrible. But as you can see, I've got the captain's armband on Erling Haaland, right? I've got the captain's armband on Erling Haaland, but it isn't finalised. It is not finalised, because right now I'm split. I don't know who to captain. I'm split between three players. Erling Haaland, Dominic Solanke, and Mohamed Salah. And I'm not going to lie, this is going to go right down to the wire because I generally don't know what to do. I kind of want to captain Haaland because I think the Brighton defense is poor, and I do think Man City will create chances in that game, and I wouldn't be surprised, even though Erling Haaland has been so poor, I wouldn't be surprised if he does get 1 or 2 returns in that game. But then I look at Dominic Solanke, just coming off the back of 2 goals, right? Playing against one of the worst teams at home, knowing that Tottenham create a lot of chances and are one of the best teams going forward this season. I actually think it's a good opportunity to go quite, differential and pick someone like Dominic Solanke, because I think that the upside and that the ceiling is there, right, with Dominic Solanke. But then you've also got Mohamed Salah, who is just the man in form and has been performing week in, week out in the Premier League, getting new goals and assists. So I do think Salah has the hardest fixture out of everyone. I think Aston Villa is obviously the better team. Aston Villa are better than Ipswich and they're better than Brighton. So I do think Liverpool have the hardest team, but then Salah's got the form. Now, Erling Haaland doesn't have the form, but in my opinion, I do think that Brighton game is a good fixture. So, look, I don't know what to do. And it is going to go right down to the wire. I might change, but at the moment it is on Haaland. But I do I'm not going to lie, I do want to go Solanke. I think if I had to rank it in order right now, it's Haaland number 1 because that's why I've got it on him. But number 2 is actually Solanke and number 3 is Mohamed Salah. I don't know. I actually don't know what to do, but I might change, man. It's just, oh man, because Erling Haaland is out of form, but the way I'm looking at it is like this, basically. I just think that, yes, Haaland's out of form, but I do think it's going to turn at some point, right? It is going to turn at some point. I do believe that. He is out of form, and I do think it will turn at some point because Erling Haaland is a world-class striker, right? I think we can all agree he's a bona fide elite world-class striker. We know that Erling Haaland can get you goals. And yes, I know he hasn't been doing that recently, but I do think in a fixture like this as well, where Brighton are just so poor defensively, they do leave space in behind at times. And you know what as well, is I think Brighton might get a bit too comfortable, knowing that Man City have been a pretty poor team so far in this season. They might get a bit too comfortable and sort of attack Man City and leave space in behind. And if they do leave space in behind, because they have done that in certain games, against Man United, against Tottenham, against Arsenal, they do leave space in behind. And if they do that, Erling Haaland can punish them, right? So I do think there is an opportunity there for Erling Haaland, and I do think it's an interesting matchup. And I do think in a fixture like this, Erling Haaland can get 1 or 2 goals. So that's why I've got it on him currently. But again, like I said, I do think that fixture for Solanke is really, really good. So I don't know. And look, it could change. It could change. We'll have to see on the deadline stream. But at the moment, I've got it on Erling Haaland. We'll have to see what happens. But with that being said, that is enough with me waffling about my team. I hope you guys did enjoy the video. Of course, I will be doing a deadline stream on Saturday. So make sure you guys do tune into that. But it's going to be a very, very interesting week. And look, it's just so hard to it's so hard to call this captaincy, right? Because man, I do want to do Solanke, but look, I'm not going to go on and on and on, right? You guys can see my head is absolutely gone. My head is spinning. I don't know what to do, but smash a like if you did enjoy the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Turn on post notifications so you never miss an upload. Thank you so much for watching, guys. And yeah, I will catch you in the next one. But until then, I'm out. Peace.